At 6 o'clock in Kent Business News tonight. More of you are paid less than the living wage in Thanet than in any other part of Kent. New figures from the TUC show 27% of employees are paid less than the £7.65 per hour. It's even worse for women working part-time. More than 4 out of 10 in parts of Kent are paid less than the threshold. Sarah Veal from the TUC explains why this is happening.
Most part-time workers are women, and most of them are doing low-skilled jobs, and there's a whole range of different issues associated with that. A lot of them actually would be able to do professional jobs and are often skilled to do that, but employers are often reluctant to split those kind of professional jobs into part-time elements, so they have to go on working below their capabilities.
Let's speak with Will Scobie. Will is a Labour county councillor in Thanet. He's also the candidate for the Thanet South seat for Labour. And you've been running, Will, a campaign called Thanet Needs a Pay Rise. Good evening.
We have indeed. We've been running this on and off for about 6 months, but in the last 2 weeks we've been having a particular focus on this. There's some wards in South Thanet have incredibly high rates of unemployment, so we've been running a campaign to listen to residents about what is happening in the local job market and see how we can improve things. The National Labour Party is offering to support employers to bring in a living wage, which is absolutely vital. We're talking about bringing in a youth jobs guarantee, so anyone under the age of 24 who's been out of work for 6 months will be offered a job. And these are concrete policies that can help us to improve what is a very difficult employment status at the moment in Thanet.
Why is this happening in Thanet? Why a specific problem in this area?
Well, I think there's lots of different reasons why we've got such a high unemployment rate here. Partly we've had some big employers recently pull out, but also we've been an area that's always been reliant on tourism, and with people moving and going abroad, changing their holiday habits, that's put quite a strain on the local market. I don't think we've really found our niche yet, but there are positives happening at the moment, and we just want to make sure that next year a new government comes in that can help to encourage them.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the one area that does pay a living wage is, in fact, the local Labour-run council.
That's exactly right. I'm very proud of the fact that Thanet District Council in the last couple of years is now paying all of its staff a living wage, as does Ramsgate Town Council, which is also Labour-run. And we see it as setting an example to other employers. And the other part of our campaign is that we are actually contacting local businesses through email, dropping in with leaflets to try and promote the benefits of having a living wage, of having staff stay with you because they feel like they are part of it, having that training, that institutional knowledge, staying with an organisation. And it also increases work rate because, staff that are better paid and are able to support their families better are more motivated and so work harder.
Just explain, if you would, Will, for those unsure, what's the distinction between a minimum wage and a living wage?
Well, the minimum wage is the amount that's currently set by the government, and it hasn't actually increased and kept up with the rate of inflation in the last 4 years, so it's actually decreased in value. The living wage is an amount set up and it's organised by the Living Wage Commission that takes into account all of the rising food prices and bills, and it's basically the minimum amount that people need to live on.
Does it change geographically?
It does, yeah. So in London it's slightly higher. I believe it is £8.75 at the moment in London. I may be slightly wrong on that, but it's definitely £7.65 in the rest of the country.
OK, so Thanet Council have managed to meet this rise or meet this hourly rate for their staff. Why do you think other councils, particularly here in Kent, somehow reticent to do the same thing?
Well, part of it is about, I think people see increasing wages as possibly being a cost, but what research has found is that, as I said before, about the increased motivation of staff, the higher retention of staff, and the higher retention of that institutional training that you have with staff, i.e. they've been doing their job for a long time, and so you don't need to train new people, actually means that over time, and in an organisation like Thanet Council that employs hundreds of people, it actually is a cost-saving measure, and it's something positive that we can actually do to both improve the local area but set an example to employers.
Will Scobie, thank you. Will is Labour County Councillor in Thanet, also running that campaign. Thanet Needs a Pay Rise. And, of course, he'll be standing for Labour for Thanet South in the general election 2015.